Hey, it's Jamie, the Urban Wine Buff, and welcome to Alphabetically Wine. Now, today's letter is the letter F, so I'll be discussing the 5 steps to wine tasting. I hear it all the time. Jamie, how do you actually taste wine? Jamie, I don't know what I'm doing. Jamie, what exactly am I supposed to be tasting for? But no worries, I got you. I'm going to explain to you the basics of wine tasting. And by the end of this video, you'll have some tools in your wine repertoire that you can use the next time you go to a wine tasting or the next time you're at dinner and you want to sound fancy in front of your friends talking about your wine. Okay. Step number 1 is see. So you want to see your wine. You want to take a good look at your wine, just analyzing if the wine is clear or cloudy. You want to take a look at the color of the wine. Is it pale? Is it deep? Is it medium? And you want to pay attention to the color of the wine. So in white wines, you want to see if the wine is more like a lemon color or like a gold or like a amber color. For rosés, you want to see if it's more pink or more orange or more like a salmon color. For red wines, you want to look at it and see if it's more purpley. Purpley, is that actually a word? More purple, more ruby, more garnet, or even brown. So all of those colors can mean different things. I can't fit all that in the span of this video. I'll get to that later. But just looking at your wine and just taking note of what you see in your glass is step number 1. Step number 2 is swirling the wine in your glass. So you want to swirl the wine in your glass. Now, I know you see people doing this and you probably think that they're just being pretentious and trying to be fancy, but this is actually a very important step. Like you need to do this, okay? Because by swirling the wine in your glass, you are allowing the wine to breathe or open up. And that just simply means that the oxygen has more contact with the wine in the glass and it exposes more of the wine's aromas and flavors. And that's really true. You can actually test this out by tasting and smelling your wine before you swirl and after, and you will notice a difference. Step number 3 is smelling your wine. So this is where you want to take a good sniff of your wine and just take note of what it is that you smell in the glass. This is also important because your sense of smells goes hand in hand with your sense of taste. You ever notice like when you have a cold and you can't smell anything, your taste buds seem off? That's why, because they go hand in hand. So it's really important with wine tasting because when you smell the wine, it can affect the way you taste the wine as well. So here you want to smell for any fruit aromas, any non-fruit aromas, anything else that you might notice about the smell of the wine. Step number 4 is the good part. That's when you take a sip of your wine. So you take a sip of your wine, but you don't just guzzle your wine down in wine tasting. You want to stop and sit for a few seconds and just analyze what it is that you taste in your mouth. Okay, so first of all, you want to taste for the sweetness. Is it sweet? Is it dry? Is it off dry? What is it? Then you want to taste for the acidity of the wine. Okay, if you haven't seen my video A is for acid, you need to go back and watch that. But the acidity is how tart or how crisp or refreshing the wine is. You can also determine the level of acidity based on if your mouth waters in your mouth. If your mouth gets really watery when you drink a wine, that means that the wine is high in acidity. You also want to pay attention to the body, which is how heavy or how light the wine feels in your mouth. You also want to take note of the alcohol content that you sense. And you also want to take note of the tannins, okay? So I have a white wine here, so tannins probably won't play a factor in this, but if you have a red wine in particular, you want to pay attention to the tannins. I did a video on that too, so y'all need to go back and catch up, okay? But so you want to pay attention to a variety of factors when you take a sip of your wine. And step number 5 is when you savor your wine, okay? That's when all of the steps come together and you decide, do I like this wine? Is this wine balanced? And when I mean balanced, I mean, do all of the factors, do all of the acidity, the body, the tannin, the alcohol, do all of those components mesh well together in this wine in my class? How long does the wine linger in your mouth after you take a sip? That's also called the finish. So you're paying attention to the finish and all of that when you're savoring your wine. But basically, you're also just determining, hey, is this a good wine? Do I like it? Would I buy it again? And that's that. So those are the 5 steps to wine tasting. So go ahead and let me know what you think about the 5 steps of wine tasting. Go ahead and leave a comment, like, share, follow, subscribe, all of that. And meet me in the next video. Let's go.